your experience was with me on that. Like when I did your soul design.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a different experience, but I'm connected when I'm doing that, and I'm giving you the information I'm receiving.
Right. How do you, can you nuance this a little more? Like this feels pretty general because I think what you're describing is so relatable, right? But what you do, I think that's different and something that you've really cultivated through time is not just a consciousness, but a directiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're actually calling in, whether it's using physical words, right? Using your body, creating the environment, creating the space so that it's more of a dialogue versus a lot of my life, it's just been like, oh, I just get intuitive hunch, right? Or I feel increased energy, right? And I'm ready to serve. I'm connecting, right? The circuit has been connected.
The
Yours seems much more like a dance, like you're actually interactive with your
Yes,
guides, with other people's guides. Can
yes,
you speak to
that's
that?
yeah. This is actually a new. It's actually a new energetic technology. Well, it's not new. It's new to us now.
Us
we've
as
always
in,
had the ability to do this. All humans. Okay, this is something that has been suppressed, and we've been suppressing it for a long time. And this is fifth dimensional energy, if you want to call it a density or an energy. What I'm doing is a fifth dimensional aspect of being, which is co-creation. And this co-creation that I'm using is through direct intent. So I'm asking, really, I'm calling this guide, I'm calling these guides to co-create with me in this moment and giving Tyler the information that he needs for his highest good. That would be similar to the language I would use. I call my guides and your guides to communicate with me now for your highest good, for Tyler's highest good. And I ask them to bring this information to me in a way that I understand it and can serve Tyler.
thank you.
So in that language, what that is I'm working with them in a co-creative way that I'm allowing. Okay, I'm open, I'm allowing, I'm giving permission, and I'm asking for them to be in this with me. That we're going to work together in this. When you do that, you open up all of these higher density beings that are actually all around you right now. They're like, look here, he wants to co-create.
Right.
They're
This
calling
one wants to play.
This one wants to play. So the rest of the game comes in. And so that's what's happening is through that intent and me being open and wanting to co-create. And that's a fifth dimensional aspect.
Why do you consider that a fifth dimensional aspect?
When we look at if we want to look at the labels and the properties of the energy of what we're calling what's going to be New Earth, and what the higher density beings are calling it, they're saying these things.
When you say higher density, it feels a little ironic because it's higher frequency, but wouldn't it be less density?
It's higher frequency, it's less physical density, and more information. Because when I talk about densities, I'm talking about information. I'm talking about higher frequency and higher information. It's a higher bandwidth with each level. So these entities are working at a higher bandwidth with a greater perception. They have an expanded awareness and being where they're seeing all those frequencies you were talking about that we're not seeing at this lower frequency. Fifth dimensional frequencies are at a higher frequency than we have been interacting with.
So on our spectrum, it goes, the visible light spectrum, and then it goes up to like what, X-ray and then gamma ray. And then is there anything beyond that that's in our visible light spectrum? Is that kind of, spectrum that would be those other entities or beings that are interacting with?
My only experience with that is like, and I've talked about this before, is seeing auras and colors in a different way, in a more vibrant, more expanded way, that are actually at a little higher frequency than where we have normally been. That's an example of expanded awareness. And there's lots of people that can do this, that have that ability. Clairaudience. I have clairaudience, and I hear things at really, really high frequencies. I can hear, by the way, if anybody hears the ringing in your ears, what you're hearing is the frequencies are going up and changing, and you're picking up on all of this energy, and that energy is making the noise, the change in the frequencies. So
since I've been working with you, I've now experienced, I think, 8 different times of that separate ringing. Yesterday, in fact, while I was training one of my new team members, I literally paused when I was in service, feeling so inspired. Like it went in it was left ear, and it was, and I told her, I was like,
download.
Okay. So what we were just discussing has to be very important. I don't know what that meant, but I understand now that actually is an increase in bandwidth, an increase of frequency. It is new information that's coming in. And so it's fun to greet. It's not tinnitus. It's not something to get rid of.
It has nothing to do with tinnitus.
What does it have to do with?
It has to do with, these beings are at this higher frequency, and they're sending this information. They're lowering their frequency enough to send that in to you, and you're hearing that. It's energy. It's vibration when it's coming in. So you've increased your frequency since you've met me.
Yes, sir.
And you're picking,
Thank you.
You're picking up, you're picking up those higher frequencies now. They were there before, but now what's happened to your perception? Your perception is broadened.
Right. And also just having, you sharing your own journey, how these were some of the precursors to actually getting more, divine inspiration or downloads or connectivity, so to speak. Yeah.
And yet people will you'll hear these little change in frequencies. Okay. As you increase your frequency, you'll hear that. You need to be very aware, very awake and aware about feeling and sensing, because I'll have one of my guides come around me and I can sense their energy because I'm used to feeling that energy. I can sense their energy around me. And when they want to, they'll start sending energy into my crown, and I can feel that energy coming into my crown.
Wow.
And what that feels like is like static electricity, just, hitting me here in the head. That's the way that feels. It's just, or you'll feel it's like somebody's just barely touching your head up here like this. And that's that energy going into the crown.
I thought it was just a bald spot.
Well, it's kind of that too. But these things have a feeling. You see, so we need to be, that's what I'm saying, the more aware you are of everything, being awake, aware, you start sensing and feeling these things, these energies, especially when you start raising your vibration, your experience and your perception grows and increases. So and that's part of this co-creating. Okay, so when I'm co-creating with them, I'm feeling these energies. I feel these energies coming in and going out, and different parts of my body. I can feel energy when my heart opens. It's just, I can feel it. And my heart just opened now because I said my heart opened, and my heart just opened. So I can feel that energy in my heart, and according to who it is coming in, I can tell who it is. I can tell because I'm used to their energy coming in. And I know how their energy feels when it comes into me. And this is, a lot of this is happening with other people, but they're ignoring it.
You know, what you're describing right now to me is you're actually humanizing this experience.
Yes,
If we just get rid of the suspend disbelief for a second and just be a child again, yes, in the sense of a blank slate that has infinite curiosity and zero judgment.
Right.
And if there's an imaginary friend, right, that keeps coming to visit, who am I to tell somebody else that they don't actually have an imaginary friend, right? And what if that imaginary friend is actually there in the way that you're describing this? For example, I've now had the ringing has been both in the left and the right ear specifically, but there's been a separate energy that I felt another time. And, you know, they're nuances. It's like, okay, so is the ringing, is this consistent? Is it the same longevity? Is it the same pitch? Is it the same, you know, like, was it in a certain style of conversation? Was it an energetic conversation? Was it something around co-creative energies? Was it about heart position? Was it, you know, et cetera? So these are the things that I'm not necessarily like logging consciously, but as we're having this conversation right now, I'm feeling it all consciously and kind of assimilating. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when I feel something like that, I simply be, and I go into no thought. And a lot of the time, the information about what that is comes out right then. And I understand what the communication was.
So you have to silence the physical mind.
I silence everything, and whatever I'm doing, I go in completely into the moment, and it's like I put my focus on what was that.
What are you?
And I just noticing? I just allow it. A lot of times it'll be a knowing that this is what this is, and this is why I'm getting this. It's intuitive. It's knowing. It's like, I know where I was born. I know what my name is. See, a knowing is something that comes into you, and there's no doubt. There's this shadow, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's what that is. That's knowing.
And so this is potentially different from language, right?
It's very different from language. Well, it is different from language,
but it's pure language.
It's pure language,
energetic coding.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get visualization with that. You know, I'll see an image, or I'll see I'll see geometry, you know, divine geometry or something in my mind. But then along with that, I'll get that knowing that this is what this is, or I'll get a piece of it that I need to work with more, you know, to figure it out. That's what we should all be doing, in my opinion. When you're getting these things, you should be accepting them and working with them.
Why would somebody have resistance?
Most resistance is just due to our programming, that this can't happen. This is something I've never had before. Why would I have it now? You know, there's so much programming. That's the biggest thing that people have to overcome when they're transforming themselves, is the programming and the beliefs that they were handed, you know, from birth to whenever. You know, to overcome that programming and its separation. Another thing that I've really been working with here lately is a lot of people I'm working with are struggling with the concept of my higher self is not me, it's something else.
The othering.
God is there, but it's not me. You know, it's you're Tyler. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I am.
Yeah, I am. So one of the biggest things is as you rise up and as you grow, your perception grows in consciousness, as you see the unity. And fifth dimensional consciousness is unity consciousness. So you see the unity of everything. So when I look at you, I know you're me.
Right.
And I know that we're both source. But most people look at you and they think you're you.
Right.
You're not me. We're separate. And
Right.
I'm right and you're wrong.
Right.
And I don't like you. You don't like me. So there's that separation game. We all need our identity. Okay, it's not about that. It's not about me saying, okay, well, I'm unity and everything is me and okay, so I'm just going to sit here in unity.
Right.
You know, I could do that, but we're here to participate.
Right.
You know, in this, but within a higher level of consciousness, we know that we're brothers.
Definitely.
That we're brothers and we're working together in this consciousness and we're co-creating within this consciousness. And that all of us are should be working together and co-creating in this consciousness.
Amen.
You know,
how do you connect with somebody that says only my tribe is actually the connected tribe, everything else is disconnected?
I'm like, okay, that's cool. I still love you. I mean, for me, this is just me. And there became a time in my journey, in my evolution, that I knew to let everybody be. If they want to have their own tribe or have their own group or be this or be that or get married. I mean, there's lots of people that have done things that I could have told them because I saw it
right
ahead of them. I could have told them, you don't need to do that.
I think every single person that's listening to this has probably had experiences like that where they're like, no.
yeah, it's the big no moment. You know,
but you gotta let somebody go through their journey.
So I'm completely calm and at peace with whatever somebody wants to do. It doesn't, you know, my children will tell you that. I mean, I saw the train wrecks way before they happened, but they need those train wrecks to evolve to something greater than they are.
So let's wiggle on this one for a second, because the value of the energy work, right? Staying connected, speaking things into existence, speaking on the higher planes, the higher bandwidth, versus the physical, tangible, you know, how do you decipher those things? How much do you need to be physical, so to speak? And then how much do you need to be energetic? Is it like the brain and the heart, where we're just seeking coherence, really to be in that 50-50 coherent state allows an amplification?
Well, now I use the spiritual side to create the 3D side. If I want to do something in 3D, I go in spirit and I initiate co-creative contact and working in that area to power the manifestation on the physical side. So and we've talked a little bit about this, if I have a problem with somebody, I don't run up to that person and say, I have a problem with you. You know, I don't like what you're doing. You know, what I do is I go into meditation, and I tell that individual in meditation, I say, you know, I realize we're having a difficulty with each other, but I want you to know something, that I love you. Yes. And I want to work with you. And I want this relationship to work out in a way that is for the highest good of both of us. You know, let's see if we can work this out in that way. And I'll do that at meditation after meditation. And then guess what happens? That relationship, all of a sudden, that relationship changes just like that.
Right. So I think there's a distinction here. It's more than affirmation. You're not just like affirming or using the mind to just, no, there will be peace. Oh, we're going to come to a resolution. It's
I am different. A creator. I am a co-creative creator that is working for the highest good of everyone that's involved. That's my only caveat. Whatever I do or however I do it, it's going to be for my highest good and the highest good for everyone that's involved in it. And I'm asking the universe and my guides and your guides and everyone else to work with me in a way to create this highest good for the joy and the gratitude for all of us involved in it.
Amen. Who would disagree with that statement? Leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. But frankly, I hope there's no comments in there of somebody that would disagree that a win-win. That's how I used to speak about that. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win scenarios, right? It's like, it's not just you and I. We're not the only parties that are involved in anything. It's everything. It's the interconnectivity and the ripple effects of every single decision, interaction, micro decisions.
So now let's talk about what we're talking about is being. That's really what we're talking about. In my process, I'm being that fifth dimensional energy. I'm being that co-creator. I'm being that initiator and that a creator. I'm going into meditation. I'm going into, everything that I do is through this unconditional love and for the highest good. And it's in co-creation and working together with everyone and the material reality plus the all the guides and everything. It's an intention, it's will, it's wisdom, it's will, it's power, and it's co-creation. And it's unconditional love.
Those what happens when you feel yourself not aligning to the unconditional love part? You're going through the physical mind and the physical emotional challenges, right?
Yeah. The challenge for the challenge for all of us is being able to hold that unconditional love, no matter what the circumstances are, the situations are. And I would honestly say that it's becoming easier. For me, it's becoming easier. That I think it's becoming easier because more people are aligning with the knowing, waking up to this higher energy, waking up to knowing that we have to work together in this. We've got to create a bridge in this. And that's really what this unconditional love is. It's me accepting you completely for what you are. And I may not agree with everything that you have to say, but I'm going to respect you.
Unconditional love really is acceptance.
Yes, it's total acceptance of you, of everything else that's occurring, and knowing, having the faith that the universe has your back and will, and know that the outcome is going to be perfect for you. That's the faith. I didn't put the faith quotient in there, but there is a faith is developed through divine through divine intervention. And the way that works is as you go through life, the universe is giving you things. It's giving you things to give you faith, to help you build toward having the ultimate degree of faith, to just be this unconditional love that I'm talking about. And that happens, these things happening for you happen when you align in the wanting to be. I'm wanting to be this love. I'm wanting to be this fifth dimensional consciousness. I'm wanting to be this new human that's going to be a part of something that we all have abundance. We all have a place to live. We all have our needs met. We all have love. That's fifth dimensional consciousness. That's where we all live in a unified world in a way where there's peace. And we're headed that way. But we have to have these realizations about what we did. You know, that's what's happening in the world right now. We have to have the realization of what we've been doing. And then accept that was not that was not really the best thing for us to be doing, and align ourselves in this newer way of being.
One bridge at a time.
One bridge at a time. One step at a time.
Yes. Well, I mean, after all, what is a step, right? It's literally a bridge, or just falling with style, to quote Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah. Amen. You know, so if I look at my personal journey, and I think you'll do the same, it's just a set of single steps.
Yes.
All along the way. And every one of those steps was a choice. So what happened is, in my choice, there's only two choices: service to self or service to others. So what I did is I started choosing the service to others, and kept my choice going that way, and just kept doing that. So that there was a point where I became more than 50% of me became service to others.
Which is actually universal love, because service to others is service to yourself as a holistic entity. So, because my question was going to be, hey, how do you balance that, as if it's some othering? But as you shared, it was crystal clear. Service to others is service of the whole, which is service to self, because we are all one. It's when one cell in the lungs, for example, does it know that it's part of the lungs?
Right.
Does it know it's a part of the body? That's all that I hear you saying right now, loud and clear, is, look, whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. You're a cell in this giant organism that is all of creation.
That's correct.
And waking up is just an awareness that that's the case, and then allowing faith to come in through whatever channels, conduits, symbols, people, philosophies, styles. That's again where it's like, if you can appreciate everyone with ultimate acceptance of exactly how they are, who they are, there is no going to war over beliefs. Right. And that's ultimately what I think causes most physical war. It's actually beliefs. It's not like, it's not really about scarcity or something, because that's a belief. Well, oh no, we went to war because we need oil. Well, do we really need oil? Okay, we can transition to things that are sustainable in different ways, and cause less and less of the physical mind reasons that people tend to grip onto in this kind of more primal existence. And another thing that just dawned on me in this is knowing that we are infinite is crucial.
It's critical. Yeah.
You can't, because otherwise it has to be service to self, because this is all that I have. If I'm just this one little flicker of, cosmic energy that's